I wanted to continue your excellent question. I wanted to expand upon that. Basically, the question was in regards to economic development. What say you about joint economic development? I would like your ideas on that. That's the acronym, I think they call it JED. Just as an example, B&M Star, near the border of Girard and Youngstown, and the work that was involved there, do you just have any ideas of how we can go that way? Because that has proven time and time again to be a winner in a lot of cities that have been lost and have grown stagnant.
Absolutely. Well, it has been a winner, but you saw what happened in Mahoney County when Jay Williams tried to jettasize Boardman. It didn't work too well. It didn't work too well. There has to be, you know, and regionalization has a lot to do with it. Let me come back there so you can hear me. I know you listen to rock and roll music. I have the same problem. But you have to work as a region a lot of times. It's not just about Warren, Ohio, because what happens in Warren basically affects Niles, Cortland, Champion, every surrounding municipality in the area. And JEDs are fantastic if you can get the cooperation. You know, if we reach out to businesses that are talking about relocating or expanding, and we can work a deal out with Howland, or we can work a deal out with Champion or Portland, that's great, because it benefits the entire area. But JEDs are kind of tricky, and a lot of people in office right now really don't trust JEDs, because there are just some issues. Everyone tries to protect their own little niche in life. I mean, that's natural. But again, in order to institute the JEDs, you have to have people coming together from different municipalities and agreeing on a lot of issues.
Thanks again for the question, and I have to agree, JEDs they're good sound bites, joint economic development districts, and I think there's a place for them in our region, but they are so difficult to implement. But I don't think we can afford at this point not to look at JEDs. I've had some conversations with the Warren Township trustees, Southington, as well as Howland Township. We're in a great position because we have water. We have water, and we have low-cost utilities. So if a JED is going to, we have a lot to bring to the table when we talk about joint economic development districts. The challenge, as Jimmy said, is getting the cooperation, because some of these issues have to be voted on by the public. So you better put it together pretty fine-tuned before you bring it to the legislative body or the public for a vote. Now, a lot of the stickling points on how are you going to divide up the revenue. B&M Star it went through its growing pains. There was a lot of battles, but they came out with a great joint economic development project. But I think there is a place for, I think we have to explore joint economic development districts. It's essential. JEDs were created because cities were trying to grow through annexation. So I'll give you my water if you're annexed to my community and become a part of Warren. And it was sort of like a hostage situation for other communities, and it just doesn't work. There's no place for us to annex now. We're landlocked anyway. So we have to use JEDs as an economic development engine if we're going to create jobs with that tool that the state makes available to us. And I'll continue as mayor to talk with other communities, because regionalization is key in terms of having some of them agreements where we all can benefit.
I got two things. First of all, on the website, why haven't we already done that? Expanded that website to present administration, which you're part of now. Let me talk. It's a thing, you know, that thing should have been out running a long time ago, starting to promote this area. We had a lot of stuff going on in this area. We got a great workforce in this area, skilled workforce. And that thing should have been up, ready. It should have been running already.
Can I answer you?
Yeah, go ahead now.
Okay.
And I got one more.
Okay, we had to re-overhaul because we lost 25% of our staff. So we're in that data processing department is in transition right now. But we're now merging our network system with our hard-based system. So now we have the capability, and we're working with the county to do backup work for us. So that department is in transition, but it should be up and running real soon.
How long has that been in transition? 12 years?
No.
Okay. So that's my point. We should be, you know, we always seem to be behind people. We're always behind other communities. We should be the leader. Another thing, I drive all over this city. And I've always been a resident of the West Side. Okay? I drive over there, my dad still lives over there.
I know you did.
I go over there all the time. I come over here, I see the street, this bug, I see the street sweeper on this side of this town. Last year, because I wrote it down every time I saw it, 5 times within 5 weeks. I saw it over on the other side of town, on my dad's street, downtown. I drive out 45, and I see an accident waiting to happen. It's not 1 year, so it's not just this year's gravel. It's past year's gravel. It's probably, I would say, at least 10 years. The gravel was higher than the curb out there. And one day I was driving out there a couple weeks ago.
What street was this?
Route 45 coming into our beautiful city.
Coming in.
I see yep.
Okay.
Just before Jefferson School. I see an 18-wheeler. I see a car next to it. It's raining that day. This 18-wheeler is going down the road sideways because it's over as far as it can get, and it's on that high gravel. That's an accident waiting to happen, and you know, it's not just that street. It's all over the city of Warren. This stuff should be cleaned up.
If it was outside the city, even if it's
out in the city.
You said just coming into our city. That's what you said. But if
Well,
it ain't got your case, call city, because obviously I didn't know that we had gravel stacked up that high. But we need to call the county engineer if we have a situation
It's
like
not
that.
in the county, it's in the city.
You said 45 coming
Not
up. But
happening.
if we know about it, we'd have taken care of that.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something. Here's what it is. The sign says entering Warren, Ohio, right here.
Okay.
The gravel coming towards.
I'll have people take a look at it. I wasn't aware of
It
that.
should be cleaned up.
Okay. And that's one of the reasons we put in our new bid specs, as Janet was mentioning, where we have attached sidewalks to the street now. We're requiring the street sweeper to do all of that, the sidewalk and the street, because of the accumulation of ice control material on the street. It's going to cost a little more, but it's well worth the money.
Same questions?
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Perception is 90% of the battle. If you have a first-class website, if the corridors coming into your city, and I'll be honest with you, again, if I'm lucky enough to win the election, the most important corridors coming into the city are Parkland Road, obviously, 45, 5. There are 4 or 5 important corridors coming to our city. Anybody coming into the city of Warren has to drive through those areas. Those should be the first areas addressed. Because if you're coming down 45 and it's like you're on a roller coaster ride, and you want to relocate to Warren, Ohio, or if you're coming down Parkland Avenue, and you want to relocate in Warren, Ohio, and it's like you're out in a hurricane, you're not going to think too much of the city. Again, perception is very important. I hate referring back to Lordstown, but I love referring back to Lordstown because that's our baby. As you're perceived, so is your city perceived. Website very important. We have to reach out to every area of the United States. It's critical that we do that and look for businesses that want to relocate, want to expand. We haven't been doing that. We wait for things, we become reactive rather than proactive. That's not good enough in today's world. It's not good enough. We have to get a little bit more aggressive. A little bit more aggressive in the city of Warren.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Are you done, sir? I have a question for either one of you.
Well, I'm up first, so.
Yeah, he's up first.
Well, you had mentioned about the Pogemeyer study, and I think a lot of people here maybe don't even know about that, but the ones that do probably want to know where that study's headed. Because you just mentioned it sits on a shelf, and you mentioned that the city paid thousands of dollars to have this thing done. The question here is leadership. What will you do as a leader? What will you do as a leader to get this thing off the shelf, to get it going? Because my understanding of it, it was the people that were to put this thing together and help a lot, but the people need the leadership to have that happen. And I do know people are working hard on it, but it seems like a squirrel in a cage is spinning the wheel there.